All right, let's jump right into this incredible story. It's about a woman named Zara, an absolutely brilliant Islamic scholar from Alexandria, Egypt. I mean, we're talking about an academic prodigy, a professor at a top university, a really trusted voice in her community. And she gets sent on this sacred mission to the United States, a mission she truly believed was for the glory of Allah. But this quote right here, this is from Zara herself, and it just perfectly sets the stage, doesn't it? I believed I was going to save the West from its ignorance. I did not know then that it would be me who would be changed forever. Wow. I mean, talk about foreshadowing. She came to America to teach, but she was about to get a lesson she never ever saw coming. So let's get into how this all started.
Okay, so Section 1, a mission for Allah. To really get how huge this transformation was for her, you first have to understand who Zara was before all of this. This wasn't just some trip abroad for her. No way. In her mind, this was a sacred duty, pretty much the culmination of her entire life's work.
So who exactly was Zara? Well, her entire life was just steeped in Islam. She was born in Alexandria to a devout Sunni Muslim family. Her father was a respected Quranic scholar, so from day one, her purpose was crystal clear: serve the Ummah, the global Muslim community. And she was brilliant. Like, she had mastered readings of the Quran before she could even really write. This path led her to become one of the youngest professors ever at Ain Shams University in Cairo, which is a big deal. She was a leader, she trained other women, she defended the faith. I mean, in her own words, she was someone who was absolutely willing to die for Allah. And because she was so well respected, she gets handpicked by the highest religious authority in Egypt for this very special mission. Her role? To be a silent educator in America. Think about that. She wasn't supposed to be a street preacher or anything like that. No, she was meant to be an intellectual force. Her job was to use academic circles and cultural events to, well, plant the seeds of Islam in the West. For her, this was the absolute greatest honor of her life. So, Section 2, the cracks appear. You can just picture it, right? She gets on that plane filled with this sense of holy purpose, her suitcase packed with Qurans translated into English. But from the very moment she landed, the world she was expecting was just not the world she found. And this is where things get really interesting. Look at this comparison. Her expectation, America would be this land of immorality, godlessness, just total chaos. But the reality she found? Order, politeness, unexpected peace. It was the little things, People waiting patiently in line, saying please and thank you, smiling at strangers. It was so orderly. And this simple, everyday observation became the very first, tiny crack in everything she'd ever believed. And those cracks started to get wider when she met people she just wasn't prepared for. Take this woman, Sarah, a former Muslim she met. Zara, doing her duty, challenged her for leaving Islam. But Sarah didn't argue back. She didn't get defensive. She just smiled. And she said this: "I just found that Jesus gave me something I could never find there." Zara later said she was completely disarmed. It wasn't a debate that got to her. It was this woman's quiet, peaceful confidence. And then this feeling got even stronger after she met a former imam. He didn't try to convert her or anything. He just asked her this one piercing question. "Zara, if the truth of Allah is so pure, why does it feel so far away?" Oof. That question just perfectly described how she was feeling inside. On the outside, she's this fierce defender of the faith. But on the inside, she felt this spiritual dryness, this distance from God. And that question hit a nerve, a really deep nerve, because she had no answer for him, or for herself. So suddenly, her big mission to teach America about Islam had completely collapsed into this desperate, personal search for truth. And one night, just sitting on a park bench, feeling totally lost, she prayed the first truly honest prayer she'd prayed in a long, long time. Ya Allah, show me the truth, no matter where it leads. It was a prayer of complete surrender. And that one honest prayer, it was about to change everything. Okay, so Section 3, a secret study. That prayer, it led her down a path that was, frankly, terrifying for her. She decided to do something she had never, ever done before. She was going to read the Bible. But this time, not to criticize it or find flaws, but to actually listen to what it had to say. And it all started with a free Bible she kind of randomly picked up at a college event. She didn't even plan on taking it, but this one verse was printed on the cover, and it just got stuck in her head. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." That just spoke directly to her soul, to that weariness she was feeling so deeply. So one night, in total secret, she opened it up. And as she started reading the Gospels, she was immediately shaken by something totally foreign to her, the idea of calling God Father. See, in her understanding of Islam, Allah is the master and the believer is the slave. It's a relationship of immense power and also distance. But in the Gospels, Jesus talks about God as Father, an intimate, loving, approachable figure. This wasn't just a theological disagreement for her. It shook her to her very core. And that discovery led her to an even deeper, more troubling question. She had revered the Prophet Muhammad her entire life, of course, but now, reading about Jesus, a question started to haunt her. If both of these men are prophets from the same God, why are they so different in character? And this really lays out the stark contrast she was wrestling with. On one hand, you have Prophet Muhammad, a leader, a warrior, a statesman who built a nation and claimed worldly power. And on the other hand, you have Jesus Christ. He served the poor, he washed people's feet, he never once raised a sword. He claimed zero worldly power, and yet, he completely changed the world. For Zara, this wasn't about who was better. It was about the fundamental difference in their very character and mission. But maybe the most profound discovery of all was this one theological concept, grace. You see, in her Islamic worldview, salvation was always kind of uncertain. You just had to hope your good deeds would outweigh your bad ones on the day of judgment. But what she was reading in the Bible was totally different. It talked about grace not as something you earn, but as a gift that's freely given. Forgiveness wasn't about rituals, it was a gift. And that offered a kind of assurance, a peace that she had never, ever known. So you can imagine the position she was in. She was completely trapped. Everything she was reading felt true. It felt peaceful. It felt life-giving. But to accept it, that would mean betraying her family, her culture, her career, her entire identity. This quote just sums up that painful internal tug-of-war perfectly. I didn't know if I was losing my faith or finally finding it. All right, Section 4, the price of truth. As you can imagine, a journey like this couldn't stay secret forever. And as whispers of her questioning started to make their way back to Egypt, the life she knew began to unravel with terrifying speed. This is where we see the enormous personal cost of her quest. And it all happened so fast. Look at this timeline. Week 1, she gets a panicked call from her sister. Why? A friend saw her tagged in a photo from an interfaith event online. That's all it took. By week 2, she's getting angry voicemails from her brother. Week 3, her university in Cairo puts her job under review. And by week 4, her mentor disowns her. Just like that, her whole world was collapsing. But the deepest cut of all, it came from her lifelong mentor. This was an imam who had guided her since she was a teenager. The very same man who had blessed her mission to America now sent her a letter declaring that she was dead to him. "You are no longer my daughter in Islam. Until you repent, you are dead to us." The rejection was just absolute and devastating. So now she had this impossible choice to make: go back to Egypt and deny everything she was discovering, or stay in the US and lose it all: her home, her career, her family. She chose what she now believed was the truth. She resigned from her job, told her family she wasn't coming back, and just like that, in an instant, she became an exile. And that brings us to our final section, rebuilding a life. Because in that moment of what looked like total loss, no career, no home, no family, a completely new story started to begin. From the ashes of her old life, a new purpose and a new kind of family started to take shape. Her number one priority? Her kids. After a really tough legal battle, she managed to bring her 3 children to the US. But, they arrived to find a mother they barely recognized. She didn't force any new religion on them. Instead, she just focused on creating a home filled with peace and patient love. Her 2 younger sons, being curious and open, were the first ones to start going to church with her. But her teenage daughter, Amina, well, she had been raised to be an Islamic leader, just like her mom. And she was resistant, very withdrawn. Zara was smart. She just gave her daughter space. She prayed for her, but she never pushed. And then the breakthrough happened. After months of just quietly watching her mom and, as it turns out, secretly reading the Bible for herself, Amina walked into the living room one morning. She was wearing jeans, she didn't have her hijab on, and she just asked, "Can I come to church today?" It was this quiet little revolution, but it was the real start of their family's healing. And that really brings us to the heart of Zara's entire story. It's so easy to look at this and see a story about someone leaving a religion, but that's not how she sees it at all. This final quote says it all. I didn't walk away from God, I ran toward him. I found him not in a system, not in rules, but in the person of Jesus Christ. For her, it was never about walking away from God. It was about running towards him, finding him more fully than she ever imagined was possible. She lost the world she knew, for sure, but in the end, she believes she found the one thing she had been searching for all along, the truth.